Kanye just dropped a betrayal list so insane. It's got me questioning reality.
What happens when one of the most controversial figures in entertainment drops a list so shocking that it includes his own 11-year-old daughter? Before we dive into this absolute bombshell, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because Celebrity Program TV brings you the stories that everyone's talking about, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next in the world of celebrity chaos. Kanye West just shattered the internet again, and this time he's gone further than anyone could have predicted. The fallout is massive, the implications are darker than you'd think, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why this isn't just another Kanye moment. This is something entirely different. So here's what went down. Kanye West, the man who's built a career on being unpredictable, on pushing boundaries, on saying what nobody else will say, just posted something on social media that has left millions of people stunned, confused, and honestly deeply concerned. He opened with a message that should have been everyone's first warning sign. He wrote that he was in pain that no one person can fix. Now, when someone like Kanye, someone with his history, his platform, his influence, says something like that, people pay attention. But nobody was prepared for what came next. He titled his post, "The Betrayal," and what followed was a list of names that reads like the fever dream of someone who's lost all sense of reality, or maybe someone who sees reality in a way the rest of us can't comprehend. This wasn't just any list. This was a carefully curated collection of names that spanned entertainment, sports, politics. And here's where it gets absolutely bizarre: fictional characters. We're talking about LeBron James, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Kim Kardashian, his ex-wife, the mother of his children, the woman he once proclaimed his love for on every platform imaginable. Then there's Diddy, Pusha T, Kid Cudi, artists he's worked with, feuded with, collaborated with over the years. Ty Dolla $ign, someone he's literally making music with right now. And then it jumps to Donald Trump, the current president of the United States, a man Kanye has had one of the most complicated public relationships with in recent history. But wait, because this is where your brain starts to short-circuit. He also included Patrick Star from SpongeBob SquarePants and Curious George the cartoon monkey. Make sure you're subscribed because we're about to unpack why this list is so much more disturbing than it seems on the surface. Let's be real for a second. When you see fictional characters on a list like this, your first instinct might be to laugh, to dismiss it as trolling, as Kanye being Kanye, doing whatever it takes to get attention. But here's the thing: when you put Patrick Star and Curious George on the same list as your 11-year-old daughter, when you mix cartoon characters with real people you've had actual relationships with, actual conflicts with, that's not funny anymore. That's alarming. And yes, you read that right. North West, his own flesh and blood, his firstborn child, the little girl who's been in the public eye since the day she was born, is on this betrayal list. North West is 11 years old. She's a child. She's not a public figure who chose this life. She's a kid who was born into it. And now her father has publicly labeled her as someone who betrayed him. The internet exploded. Parents, psychologists, fans, critics, everyone had something to say, and most of it wasn't good. The backlash was immediate and it was fierce. Social media erupted with people questioning Kanye's mental state, his judgment, his fitness as a parent. Comments flooded in from people who were genuinely worried, people who've watched Kanye's erratic behavior escalate over the years, people who've seen him go from genius artist to walking controversy to something darker, something more unpredictable. One user wrote that putting your child on a betrayal list is not just wrong, it's abusive. Another said that this is what happens when someone refuses to get help, when they're surrounded by yes men and enablers instead of people who will tell them the truth. Some defended him, arguing that we don't know what's happening behind closed doors, that maybe North did something in his eyes that felt like betrayal, but even his most loyal fans struggled to justify this one. How do you betray someone when you're 11 years old? What could a child possibly do to earn a spot on a list next to politicians and cartoon characters? Let's talk about the other names for a minute because they tell a story too. LeBron James has never been particularly close to Kanye publicly. So why is he on this list? Is it because LeBron has been vocal about social issues in ways that contradict Kanye's own controversial political stances? Is it professional jealousy? Kim Kardashian, that one's easier to understand on the surface. They went through a very public, very messy divorce. There were custody battles, public statements, leaked conversations. If anyone was going to be on a betrayal list, you'd expect your ex-wife to be there. But here's what makes it twisted. Kim is also North's mother. So when you put both Kim and North on the same list, you're not just airing grievances, you're dragging your child into adult conflicts. Conflicts she had no part in creating. Hit that subscribe button if you're starting to see how deep this actually goes. Then there's Diddy, who's currently facing his own legal nightmares. Serious allegations that have nothing to do with Kanye. Why is he on this list now? Is Kanye throwing shade while Diddy's down? Or is there some personal history we don't know about? Pusha T and Kanye had a complicated relationship, especially during the whole Drake beef that Pusha was neck-deep in. Kid Cudi, that's a painful one for longtime fans because Kanye and Cudi were brothers in music, they created together, they influenced an entire generation together. And then they had a falling out that was public and ugly. Ty Dolla $ign is actively working with Kanye, they just dropped music together. So what betrayal could there possibly be? Unless this is Kanye's way of saying he trusts no one, not even the people currently in his orbit. And then there's Donald Trump. Kanye famously wore the red MAGA hat, visited Trump in the Oval Office, praised him publicly even when it cost him fans and business deals. But their relationship has been rocky, inconsistent, transactional. Trump has distanced himself from Kanye at times, especially when Kanye's behavior became too unpredictable even for Trump's standards. So maybe this is Kanye feeling used, feeling like he was a prop in someone else's political theater. Or maybe it's something else entirely. Maybe it's Kanye realizing that the people he thought were allies were just using him for their own gain. But the fictional characters Patrick Star and Curious George, that's where the analysis gets really uncomfortable because those aren't real people. You can't be betrayed by a cartoon. So why are they there? Is it symbolic? Is it Kanye's way of saying that even innocence, even childhood nostalgia, has somehow let him down? Or is it a sign that his grip on reality is looser than anyone wants to admit? Now let's address the elephant in the room. Kanye West has been open about his mental health struggles in the past. He's talked about being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. He's discussed how medication affects his creativity, how he feels more like himself off meds even when people around him say he's more stable on them. This is not about stigmatizing mental illness. This is about recognizing when someone might be in crisis. When you post a betrayal list that includes your child and cartoon characters, when you say you're in pain that no one person can fix, those are red flags. Those are cries for help disguised as provocations. The problem is, Kanye has cried wolf so many times that people don't know when to take him seriously and when to dismiss him as trolling for attention. Make sure you stay subscribed to Celebrity Program TV because stories like this evolve fast. And when they do, we'll be here to break it down for you. Social media users are split down the middle. Some are calling this performance art, saying Kanye is a genius who operates on a different level, that this list is commentary on fame, on trust, on how even your closest relationships can feel like betrayals when you're operating at his level of scrutiny and pressure. Others are calling it what it looks like on the surface, a disturbing public meltdown from someone who needs intervention, not more attention. Psychologists who haven't treated Kanye but who study celebrity behavior and mental health have weighed in, some suggesting that this could be a manifestation of paranoia, a symptom of untreated or undertreated mental health conditions. Others point to the grandiosity, the need for control, the persecution complex that seems to underpin so much of Kanye's recent behavior. What's truly haunting about this is the silence that followed. At the time this story broke, Kanye hasn't explained himself. His representatives haven't issued a statement. There's been no clarification, no context, no walkback. Just the list, hanging there in digital space, racking up millions of views, thousands of comments, endless speculation. And that silence is almost worse than the post itself because it means one of two things. Either Kanye doesn't see anything wrong with what he posted, or he knows exactly how inflammatory it is and he's letting it marinate, letting the world react, letting the controversy build because controversy is currency in the attention economy. Here's what makes this different from other Kanye controversies. This isn't about music, it's not about fashion, it's not even really about politics. This is about relationships, about family, about a father publicly naming his daughter as someone who betrayed him. That crosses a line that even Kanye's most dedicated defenders are struggling to justify. North West is going to grow up and see this. She's going to know that her father, in a moment of whatever this was, put her name on a list alongside people he feels wronged by. Imagine being 11 years old and having to process that. Imagine being Kim Kardashian and having to explain to your daughter why her father did this. Imagine being any of the other kids, Saint, Chicago, Psalm, and wondering if they're next. Subscribe and turn on notifications because this story isn't over. And when the next chapter drops, you need to be here for it. The internet has become a permanent record of our worst moments. And for celebrities, that record is amplified 1,000,000 times over. Kanye's legacy, which should be about his musical genius, his production innovation, his influence on hip-hop and fashion, is increasingly being overshadowed by moments like this. Moments where he seems less like an artist pushing boundaries and more like someone who's lost the plot entirely. And the saddest part, there are people around him, people on his payroll, people who depend on him, who are either unable or unwilling to step in and say stop. Stop posting. Stop spiraling. Stop dragging your children into your public grievances. But when you're Kanye West, when you've been told you're a genius for so long, when you've been enabled and celebrated for your worst impulses because they make good headlines and sell albums, who's left to tell you no? This betrayal list will be analyzed and dissected for months. People will write think pieces about what it means, about whether Kanye is okay, about whether this is a mental health crisis or a publicity stunt or both. But at the end of the day, there's a little girl who's been publicly named by her father in a way that no child should ever be. There's a family that's already been through enough public turmoil trying to navigate this fresh nightmare. And there's an audience, millions of us, who watched it happen in real time and couldn't do anything but react, comment, share, and wait for whatever comes next. So where does this leave us? Kanye West has once again dominated the cultural conversation, but at what cost? His pattern of behavior, escalating controversies, pushing boundaries until they break, has reached a point where even his art can't shield him from the consequences. Brands have dropped him. Collaborators have distanced themselves. And now, he's potentially damaged his relationship with his own children in the most public way possible. Whether this was a moment of genuine pain expressed poorly, a calculated move for attention, or a sign of deeper issues that need professional intervention, one thing is clear: this isn't sustainable. You can't keep burning bridges and expect to have anywhere left to stand. Make sure you're subscribed to Celebrity Program TV because we're watching this story closely. And when there are updates, and there will be updates, we'll bring them to you first. If this video got you thinking, if it shocked you, if it made you worried or angry or confused, hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and share this with someone who needs to see it. We cover the stories that matter, the ones that reveal the darker side of fame, the cost of celebrity, the human beings behind the headlines. Stay tuned, stay subscribed, and we'll see you in the next video where we continue to unpack the wildest, most compelling stories in entertainment. This is Celebrity Program TV, where we don't just report the news, we help you understand what it really means.